How do you do? I'm very happy to have this personal visit with you. Won't you be seated, please?
As the sun rises over New York City, the cityscape is bathed in a golden glow. The Gilded Age was a time of unprecedented wealth and opulence, as the elite built towering skyscrapers and ornate mansions that were the envy of the world. Andrew Carnegie, one of the wealthiest men of his generation, would one day meet a young man named Napoleon Hill, who went on to become one of the most influential thinkers of the era and author of Think and Grow Rich, Changing the World Forever.
Napoleon Hill's Secret. Today we're going to be looking at the book Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It's a classic. A classic.
Over 30 million copies sold.
When I read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill,
it's one of my favorite books of all time, Think and Grow Rich.
Let me call your attention to a great power which is under your control, said Mr. Carnegie. A power which is greater than poverty, greater than the lack of education, greater than all of your fears and superstitions combined. It is the power to take possession of your own mind and direct it to whatever ends you may desire. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Isn't that a profound statement? And now, may I reach out across the space and the time which separate us and offer you a hand of friendship and a sincere prayer that you will be blessed with a richer and a fuller life because of this message. Your big opportunity may be right where you are now. Follow these instructions faithfully and it will reveal itself to you. This is Napoleon Hill saying, don't search for opportunity in the distance, but recognize it and embrace it right where you are.
Well, hello. I am so grateful that you have joined us here for our official Think and Grow Rich mentorship program. Congratulations. I know this was a huge decision, and I'm really proud of you because decision is the key to transformation in your life. So welcome to the Napoleon Hill Institute. I look forward to seeing you on our live sessions. Come prepared. My best advice to you is to really take this information and study it through repetition every single day. Just apply everything we're telling you to do. Apply it in your life. Don't cut corners. I tried it my way in the past. When my mentor told me to study through repetition, I didn't listen. And guess what? I didn't get the results that I wanted. So I'm telling you now from my heart, watch the lessons, repeat the lessons, and do every single action step. And come to the calls with enthusiasm. Come with the spirit of harmony, because we're here to help you get the results that you want in your life. So I look forward to seeing you on the live calls. Come ask us questions. I'm going to give you everything that I have. Our team's here to support you. We're going to show you step by step how to get the results that you want in your life. Think and Grow Rich principles have changed my life. I will always go back and study this material for the rest of my life. So I look forward to working with you. A big congratulations, and I'll see you soon. Well, hello everyone. Welcome back. What a beautiful day. And I'm so grateful that you're here. Some of you have I would love to see you. I'd love you to turn your cameras on. I don't want to be looking at black squares. Turn your cameras on and come join us. And this call is for you. Today's call is really because you've come back for a reason. You have questions, we have answers. We're here to serve you. And we have the one and only, the amazing principal teacher at Napoleon Hill Institute. One of our principal teachers is Dan Matthews, and he did an incredible session last week. And what I love about Dan is that he can not only talk to the mindset or the spirituality, but he can talk about the science that backs everything that we're saying. And I know a lot of people, I've been doing this for years, a lot of people need the science. They need to know the science in order to really understand how this works. How does this work, right? So Dan Matthews is here today. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Cleona. It's a pleasure to be here. And you are in the right place. I know it's a holiday in the U.S., and I appreciate those of you that have taken time out of your holiday to meet with us today for an hour of question and answer. We went through some material earlier that might have been a little bit information overload, because some of the science principles, some of the laws of science, or the rules of mathematics that really apply to everything, because they're universal laws, are a little difficult to get your mind around, to understand and feel comfortable with, and how they apply to the spiritual laws that we are so eagerly searching to find and to understand and to apply to our lives. Cleona, I'm going to turn it back to you for just a moment. And I know that it's a Q&A, and there may be people that have questions right away. And rather than take a lot of time with intro material, I would love to answer questions. They don't have to be about the topic that we talked about earlier in the last session. I'm open to talk about anything if you have any questions. So thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, so this call is for you. We came here to serve, and if you have any questions, just raise your hands. And we have Don Green in the house. Don Green, who's the executive director of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. He's the man that I love you dearly, Don. You changed my life. And you know, we're just so honored that you've joined us today. This man is incredible. He's been running the foundation for over 20 years and serving, talking about service. He has been serving children. The foundation is incredible how many children they have provided for their education and different scholarships. And Don has done an incredible job. Welcome, Don.
Hey, I'm going to listen today to you and Dan. I'm glad to be on.
Don, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the work that you've done to keep the Napoleon Hill philosophy and the information that he provided about 80 years ago to the world, and we're still using it today because it's still relevant today. Those laws that he alluded to, he didn't have some of the advances of science that we've had since then, but I'll tell you that the facts of science, of all the areas of science and mathematics, verify that we are on the right path. And it's in our hands to take that information, to apply it, and to use it to expand our own lives and to expand the lives of those around us.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. We're here because of you, and we're so honored. And if you will look to this side of me, this man right here, there he is. There's Don. right behind me in my painting. I love it. It's so incredible. So we will get started. Please raise your hand. If you have any questions, any of you, I will bring you up. We're here to serve you. And Isaac is the first one to raise his hand. Perfect. I'm going to bring you up, Isaac. And then you can raise your physical hand if you don't know how to press the button and do the electronic signal. Okay. So Isaac, why don't you come up and go ahead and ask your question to Dan, me, or just go ahead.
You're muted, Isaac.
We can't hear you, Isaac. No. I think you had that issue. Yes, there you are.
You got it.
It's very low. It's very low. Try again.
Let me just go for this again.
There we go.
There we go.
Yes. All
Good
right.
evening, everybody.
Good evening, Isaac.
Okay, Dan, one thing I would just like to ask you personally, if you look at restoring relationships, if it's between family members or friends, what would be your best advice to approach this and to go about doing that?
Tell me the question again, Isaac. I heard about the family relationship, but I didn't get the first part of that sentence.
I asked, how would you go about restoring or recovering relationships between friends and family? What would be your best path to do that? Best way to do that?
I guess the first thing I would do is ask what's the nature of the relationship, because the way that it would be approached might be different depending on what's caused. It sounds like there's a separation or a disagreement or some misinformation, or people have gone separate ways. I think that they be a little more specific on the question.
Okay, if I can put it like that, I've gone through a bit of a rough patch the past 5 years, physically and mentally. And through this, I feel that I've caused damage to some of the relationships, my mother, my wife, as I said, some of my friends and other family members as well. So I don't know how to go about approaching this to start sorting it out.
Well, that's really a good question, Isaac, because at some level, we all have the same issue with someone in our lives. It may not be a mother or a wife or a sibling, but we all have places in our lives where we've either had a misunderstanding, or maybe there have been angry words, maybe there's been a feeling of suppression, or things that can cause remorse or regret. But remember that we have within us the nature of God. That's something we've been blessed, everyone has been blessed with. We have within us a portion of that nature of infinite intelligence, which has never changed, is present everywhere, will never change, and it's absolute unconditional love. But besides that, we have within us characteristics, which are characteristics that only in the past, we've only given those characteristics of character to God himself, to infinite intelligence. Those things like love and compassion and forgiveness and imagination and creativity are all characteristics that have caused the universe to be what it is today. We have those same characteristics. Every person has those same characteristics within our lives, within our hearts. Something within us that has never changed and will never change, that we often call that our soul. But that's our connection with infinite intelligence. That's our connection between our heart and the heart of God. And they're absolutely aligned always in all people. Now, some people have buried other information, other trash on top of that, that has hidden that nature even from themselves, and they would be the last person to admit that they have the nature of God. I talked to a person one time who's a friend of mine who was complaining about his life, and I said, why don't you tap into gratitude? And he looked at me and he said, gratitude? I don't have any gratitude. Well, he was
angry.
he'd been lying to himself, because every person has gratitude. 3 years later, I get a text from him, and he has turmoil in his life. His marriage is falling apart. He's at a loss for what to do, and I sent him some of my thoughts, and his response was, "I'm grateful."
Amen.
And remember that in your life, the person who needs forgiveness most is you. Forgive yourself.
That's true.
And that will start a healing process that can only be described as miraculous. The other thing I would say is, do you have any pets?
We do, yeah. We've got a cat and we've got a dog as well.
Okay. Which one do you like best?
I can't say, actually. I love them both.
But they're different. They have different characters, don't they? They have different natures.
Yeah, the personality is the cat. I'll go with the cat.
A dog says, my master feeds me and gives me shelter. My master must be God. And the cat says, my master gives me food and shelter. I must be God.
Okay.
They have very different characteristics, but
Yeah.
you'd never ask your cat to be a dog. I have a cat and a dog also. I'd never ask the cat to be a dog. They have different natures, and you love them both, even though they have very different natures.
Yeah.
Sometimes people in your life are the same way.
That's true. Yeah.
Don't try to make the cat into the dog.
I understand that.
Yeah, good. Thanks for that
Thank
great
you,
question.
It's a pleasure, and appreciated the answer as well.
Thank you.
That's great advice. Yes. I wrote down, the first thing I wrote down was forgiveness, Dan, when he asked that question. And I had the pleasure of talking to Isaac the other night, and I told him to write a letter of forgiveness to himself and to some other people. I would also say, I would add to it a couple of other ideas, little exercise that has helped me, Isaac. Just write out exactly how you would like the relationship to be between you, your significant other, your wife, or whoever it is that you're having these issues with. Write it out in present tense, that you're so grateful now that me and my wife are in a loving, happy, joyful relationship. I have been forgiven. Write out exactly how you would like the relationship to be, and put all your thought, energy, and focus on that. So that's one other idea.
Okay.
And then just, as Dan said, just be the change. Show them, don't tell them. That's so, and over time you will see everything will shift. It'll be almost miraculous. Yeah.
And one closing comment is we all get off track sometimes. We all get off track, and you have a goal and you have a direction toward your goal. Sometimes you're going in the opposite direction, and you know it in your heart. All you have to do is turn around. All you have to do is go back on track. Don't beat yourself up. Being off track is not being a bad person.
Yeah.
Being off track is just means you have to change your direction, change your course. And in flying, if you know anybody who's a pilot, ask them about that change that the plane goes through when it tips the wings. It's called a change in airplane in airplane language vocabulary. That change of the wing tilt is called a change in attitude.
Okay. Great.
And
Yeah,
gets
understood.
and keeps the plane on course.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for that, Dan.
Thank you, Isaac.
I love that. I love it. So it's so interesting. Right before this call, I was, sometimes I'll just pick up a book and I'll just ask infinite intelligence, show me what you want me to read, right? And right before this call, I picked up this book, which is Believe and Achieve by W. Clement Stone. And it's an official publication, obviously, of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. And I love this book. On chapter 2, and just like Dan said about attitude, and I did not know until Dan taught us that that's the name of correcting a plane's path, right? And it's called changing the attitude. So W. Clements, what is a positive mental attitude? Okay, I'm going to read a little bit to you of what it says here in chapter 2. A positive mental attitude, W. Clement Stone says, is the right attitude in a given environment. It is composed of, and you might want to write these few words down, everyone. It is composed of faith, optimism, hope, integrity, initiative, courage, generosity, tolerance, tact, T-A-C-T, tact, kindness, and good sense. So the big message there, really, from what Dan just said and what W. Clement Stone is describing, just focus on having a positive mental attitude, and everything will work out. Everything.
And that's one thing. Well, even I had this font that I had to, keep the whole time of being fine, because we didn't know what's happening with me. And through all of this, especially the fact that we didn't know what's happening, what actually happened to me, it's put me. I lost my little sentence there now for a while. I'm thinking of something else there. Excuse me for that. But yeah, it's I was very angry, and a lot of things that I spoke, was hurtful towards a lot of other people as well. So I think I forgot my gratitude while in this recovery.
Yes.
And I'm fixing that now. And slowly but surely I'll get to the family members and the loved ones as well now. But as we say, I'm going to have to start working on myself first.
Yeah. Can I offer you one suggestion?
You may.
Because I know your story. Going forward, you don't say what happened to me. You say it happened for me.
Okay. I hear you.
Well
said.
said.
Well said. Definitely.
Yeah. Because if we, and this goes for any of you here that have had unjust things really happen, if you keep holding on to that story that happened to me, it moves us into a lower frequency of victim mentality. But when you say happened for me, then it changes everything. Okay. And it did, it happened for you because I believe you're being called for a greater calling. And I told you that.
That's true.
Yes.
I believe that as well. Thank you,
Awesome.
Fiona.
Thank you, Isaac.
Much appreciated.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Dan, as well.
Thank you, Isaac. Good question.
There you go.
Awesome. So go ahead now and raise your hands. Who wants to come up next? This is your opportunity. We're here to serve you. And you'll notice sometimes someone else will ask a question and it'll help you as well. Okay. Sean, come on up, my friend. Good to see you.
Did I unmute?
Yep, we got
Okay.
you.
All right.
Hear you now.
I came into work today to do a little due diligence, and I got into my emails and I saw an opportunity to join today. That's why I'm here. And I apologize for not being shaved. I got a hat on. Dan, I'm going to try to give you a really brief story. It's a true story because it happened to me, and I'll tell you how I got to where I am right now. And what I guess my question is how to remain focused. 2001, I went through a divorce. I ended up homeless for 2.5 years, lived in rescue shelters and missions. And about 2003, 2004, I found myself sitting on the side of a cot, and I realized as the clouds are clearing from my head, God has more for me than this, and this is not my end. And from that day to today, set out, and 2016, I received my administrator's license as a skilled nursing facility administrator in the state of Louisiana. Successfully ran a facility for a management company there, and in 2021, we had a deficiency-free survey, which is extremely difficult to do, especially on the tail end of COVID. I realized that I do not, and during the time I was homeless, I realized I do not want to be dependent on another man for a paycheck, because when the divorce happened and I got depressed and I couldn't work, I was stuck. And after that survey, I flew out to Las Vegas. I had met a industry expert, and so I came out here to meet him, met his wife, we talked. By October of 2021, I'm calling the state of Nevada to find out how do I get my administrator's license in Nevada. I had it by December. I moved here in February of 2022. So I've been a Nevadan for about 18 months. And I've always believed and felt that if you get around the right people, they will force you to level up. And sure enough, being around this guy, he owns his own skilled nursing facility for pediatrics. I am an administrator for him at a behavioral health facility that he's got. He introduced me to some contacts. I met with them 2 weeks ago in Reno. And on Friday, this past Friday, and that's why I'm in today to do some due diligence, I had an owner contact me, and they are interested in selling their business. From what I can see on their website, it looks like they own 3 to 4 home health properties. And if it all works out, which I believe it will, I've just got to make sure I can get the financing. I'm about to own my own business. But staying focused, keeping the blinders on, staying focused the longest until we cross that finish line.
So it sounds, Sean, like you're your question is, how do you stay focused? You've taken on a lot of work and gone through some highly commendable changes in your life that have put you in a place of responsibility and decision making, and you have people that you're depending on to do their due diligence in there and applying themselves to their positions that working with you or for you. And now you're taking a step of owning your own business, of financing a business.
Make my own paycheck instead of being dependent for a paycheck.
Right. And the question of focus is always a it doesn't matter what it is you're trying to focus on. If you're staying focused, it's an application of will. And will is defined as focusing your attention on one thought or one goal to the exclusion of all other thoughts. And your world is filled with thoughts that are coming in, stimuli that are coming in from the outside world all the time, that are all trying to grab your attention. Your job in that situation is to stay focused on one thing at a time. You probably know that multitasking is a fable, is a myth. Multitasking is not possible. It's serial monotasking. You can do one task at a time, and you can follow one task by another. Doing something like boiling potatoes and frying an egg is not multitasking. The potatoes are going to are going to boil all by themselves. All you have to do is get them started, and they keep going. That's not multitasking. Multitasking is trying to drive a car and text at the same time. Well, that just doesn't work.
Right.
You can't focus your attention on two things at exactly the same time. And you have that skill. I can see that you're a person who understands how to sequentially task things, but the problem, it's not a problem. The challenge for you is to filter out the things that are not what they call germane. They're not they don't have the same topic of attention that the goal you're trying to achieve. And what I would suggest is what Napoleon Hill suggested, and that is to write down a list. Actually, he tells a story about it in the early life of a person that was working for Charles Schwab. Write down a list of 6 things that I can do tomorrow. 6 goals that you want to accomplish tomorrow. You may not accomplish all 6. And then start at the top and prioritize them, the most difficult one first.
Okay.
Because the most difficult one is probably the most important one. Write down a list of 6 things that I'm going to do tomorrow. And as the day goes on, you can check them off. Now, what I do at the end of a day is I have a little list of 4 things that I do to kind of close the day, because we start the day with gratitude and with intention, and with I'm grateful to be alive, and my intention today is to be clear-minded and focused. At the end of the day, I have 4 things that I do. I write down a little list of 4 things. The first one uses the abbreviation WWW, and it stands for what went well. And just write down a couple words. So there are going to be a lot of things that go well, but we tend to focus our attention on what went wrong, or that person who really got under our skin during the day. And of all the engagements, of all the things that happened during the day, those things stand out at the end of the day, and they'll keep you from going to sleep at night. What went well? Write down 4 things that went well. The things that didn't go well, it's not what went wrong. It's what needed work. WNW. What needed work? and make just a little short list, only 1 or 2 words for each topic. Don't beat yourself up. Just choose 2 or 3 things that didn't go well today. And if you lost your temper, what needed work? Understanding or compassion. That's what needed work. It's not, I lost my temper. Don't claim that. What needed work was, I needed to work on my understanding of another person's situation. What needed work? What went well? What needed work?
WWW and WNW.
And
okay.
Then a cue, a question. And a question is just before you go to sleep. Focus on this question of, like, you're asking God, you're asking the universe, you're asking that power within you, to your subconscious mind, to solve a problem for you.
Yes.
What's a question? What's a question? Demand it of yourself, because if you're demanding it of yourself, you're demanding it of infinite intelligence. And when you demand it, you are telling infinite intelligence where you want energy to move.
Right.
And you are totally able to do that. And in Psalms 82, David said, "You are all gods." You have the characteristics of God. We talked about that. You also have the ability to demand of God answers or solutions to things that are puzzling you.
Okay.
Because you're asking it of yourself. Because you're connected. You are a child. I like to say you are a child of infinite intelligence, because it has 2 meanings.
Right.
You are a child of infinite intelligence. Ask a question, demand an answer. Right. And the last thing is, what am I grateful for?
A lot. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for the position I have. I'm grateful for coming as far as I have, because I didn't do it by myself. The hand of God definitely got me to where I'm at.
Yeah, and if you recognize that, that's something to be grateful for. Those 4 questions at the end of the day will carry you through the night. Your subconscious mind has a job to do. It'll be working on that question of yours. You can let the things that didn't go well, you can let them go. That's in the past.
Right.
And
which
you
is
can
what
focus
needs
on
work.
what went well.
Okay.
And the next day you have a list of 6 things to accomplish. You may not accomplish all of them. If you don't, just put those over to the next day. Don't beat yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see that your life will go easier. You will be able to stay focused. You can try that focusing exercise with a candle flame or a dot on the wall, just to focus your attention on that dot on the wall.
Right.
To the exclusion of all other thoughts. And if a thought comes in, which it'll do in about 5 seconds, it doesn't take very long for a wandering thought to come into your mind. Just let it go. Stay focused on that and see how long you can do that. And the more you practice that, the stronger your will become, and the more focused your attention will become.
Okay. Usually when I go to sleep, I am listening to affirmations at night. So I'm getting these positive affirmations all while I'm sleeping. I like the exercise about focus. That will help me. There's times I'm a whole lot more productive in what I'm doing than others. And it's almost like a flow state. You get a drop into this flow state and just a lot of work gets done. And then there's times when it's just a struggle
good, doesn't it?
to make an accomplishment. So just practicing what you're saying, pick something out, a dot on the wall or something, and practice just the effort of focus will help. I'm glad I found this in my email today. I'm telling you, I do not believe in coincidence. There is no coincidence.
No,
God does not operate on coincidence. He purposefully does things for his plan. So there's a reason why I was here today.
That's right. Exactly. You're exactly right. And Sean, there was a really good question with a very clear explanation of what was behind it. I appreciate it, and thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you for taking your time and sharing your wealth of information and knowledge with all of us to help us improve, because we're going to step forward with it, and hey, great things are going to happen. Great things are going to happen. I share this with my staff, and this is for everybody on the call. Intentionally have fun on purpose today.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really perfect. Cleone, you have something to add?
I'm good. I appreciate it.
I think Dan did an incredible job. He gave you so much gold. I would just tell you what's coming to my mind is this new opportunity of owning a business. I get the sense that you think it's up here somewhere and it's this big deal and it's a little bit, don't think it's above you and don't put it on a pedestal.
Okay. It's something that I've been working towards for, almost 20 years now.
Yeah, you're already the man. You're already the man. So I want you to pay attention to me, because I get a sense you're putting it way up there. You've been going after for so long and it's up here. It's not, it's right beside you. You've become the man that's attracted the opportunity.
Right.
So don't put this opportunity of owning a business on a pedestal like it's above you. You already are the man capable for the business. And there's a little, the Serenity by James Allen. There's a lovely recording of it on YouTube. Our late mentor, Bob Proctor, did a beautiful recording of Serenity. I highly recommend you listen to it every day as you go through this entrepreneurial journey.
Bob Proctor, and it's on Serenity.
Serenity by James Allen. Yes.
But I have to agree with both of you, Donna and you. The vibration that we generate is going to attract like things. And as I guess the steps I've taken and the experiences I've had, it prepared me to run a business. That's what I've been doing for the last 5-6 years.
Absolutely.
So instead of running somebody else's, I'm just going to run my own.
Yeah, that's the evolution. You created that. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's easy. And just keep telling yourself it's easy. The same way you poured yourself into everybody else's business, you do the same for your own business.
That's right. That's right. That's it. That's right. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. It was a great question. It helped a lot of people. And I'm sure it could apply to a lot of you. Okay, who else would like to come up and ask a question? We still have plenty of time, 20 minutes or so. Let's see. If not, I'm going to call on you.
Call on Philippa. I can feel she has a question.
Okay. Come on, Philippa.
Thanks for picking on me, Dan. Gosh, questions. It was one I was going to ask you in private, Dan, on a call, but I'll ask it anyway. People that know me know that I was born at 26 weeks. I weighed 2 pounds 2 ounces. I know I was meant to be here. God called me to be here, and I know what my purpose is, and that is to show and help other disabled people that to see their worth and what they can contribute to society. And when I was a teenager and when I got baptized, I had loads of people come to me with scripture, with words of knowledge. Some people had had dreams of me walking normally. I'd been in a room with a lady who'd had multiple sclerosis and was physically healed. And God was just showing me that this was possible. And I had people around to pray for me through my late teens and early 20s. And then nothing happened with it, and it was, I left it on the side and thought, no, this obviously isn't what God intends for me. And obviously we've talked as coaches about our health and what we can do to improve our health and everything. And I'd like your take on what you think is possible with this material. Am I going in the right direction, going back into that and thinking that through this I could be physically healed? Or is it that God wants to use my disability to be an example to other people and the adversities and challenges I've been through? It's a big question. I know. I'm sorry.
A really good question, Philippa, because in one respect or another, everyone has that question, because it has to do with the voice of doubt, and it has to do with the voice of reason, and it has to do with the voice of truth. And those are three different things: doubt and reason. Doubt is something that tells you you're not capable of doing it. Reason is something that is analyzing the situation and causing you to not make a decision because you spend all your time analyzing. But truth is something that doesn't change. And you, in your heart of hearts, you know the answer already. It's not something that you can maybe put your finger on right now, but I think that you do. I think that you understand what it is. And I wouldn't try to second guess, but I can feel that you already have the answer there. And I would say, let that answer live itself out.
Okay.
There are some people like Dr. Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you know Dr. Joe or not.
Heard about him.
Yeah, well, if you went to if you read he has several books. You Are the Placebo, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. But You Are the Placebo is a really good book that talks specifically about your body's ability to heal itself, because you know that within you have somewhere around 70 to 120 trillion cells.
Mm.
And those cells all have a part to play. They all have their own little role to play, but they're also in communication with every other cell. Just like every point in the universe is in communication with every other point in the universe. And your body, your information that you receive in your body or thoughts that you have an effect on your body. We know that stress causes disease, that there's a direct correlation between stress and certain kinds of disease, including cancer. We also know that if you change your mindset, you change your body chemistry. You know that the feeling of falling in love is a very different feeling than a feeling of being rejected. It makes and it has a response in your body because the body chemistry changes as a result of your thoughts. And you have the ability to make those changes in your own life, in your own body. So I would recommend you take a read of You Are the Placebo, because it has some really good, solid biochemistry and biophysics that talk. It's an easy read, but it has a lot of good science in it too. Dr. Joe is accomplished in several areas of science, and I think you would find something that would help you to get a definitive answer to that question. But I know that you have the answer within you already.
Mm.
So I'd say go after that thinking source, the thinking stuff, the infinite intelligence is within you to give you direction for the decision you need to make.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Philippa.
You've got such a wonderful heart, Dan, and whenever I hear you talking, it's God talks through you, and I feel you explain things, and it's almost like you wrap us in his love when you share. And I just think you're wonderful. I really love you so much. You're such an amazing.
Thank you. I love you. I love this. I love this work. I love the studying. I love the revelations. I love the connection between science and the teachings of the great religious leaders of the past, and the goals of spiritual development. They all follow the same, they tell the same story, just with a little different twist.
Yeah.
It's all the same story.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Philippa.
That was beautiful, Dan. Thank you. Thank you, Philippa, for opening up and asking that question. Amazing. Okay, we have Kaya. Good to see you, my friend. Come on up.
Hello,
There she-
hello.
Hi, Kaya.
Hi, how are
No,
you all?
Matt, nice to meet you. I love you.
Oh, and I love you. Thank you. I love that. That gave me warm and fuzzies. My question is, as a single mom with teenage and young adult kids, how can I share the principles with my kids so that we can all live on the same plane and manifest and grow and develop together? Now, my daughter is 17. She's a senior in high school, and my son is 25. He doesn't live in the house, but we definitely interact, and I would love for him to be on the principles and live by the principles, so that we can continue to grow and get along with one another. So I am open for any and all suggestions. I just ordered the book, Think and Grow Rich, for my daughter as a paperback, so that she can have it, and we are reading it together now. So each day we're discussing a chapter so that we can continue to grow. But I want her to have this copy with her so that she can carry it to college, and she's looking to go to an Ivy League school. So I definitely want her in the right frame of mind for whatever comes her way. So I'm going to stop. That's my question, and I do hope that you were able to follow me. Thank you.
Well, Kaya, that is a great question, because everyone who's an adult with children has exactly the same question. How do you maintain communication? How do you give your children the greatest gift you can give them, which is the ability to make good decisions about the direction of their lives? And what I was going to offer as a suggestion, when you said it had to do with your children and guiding them, I was going to tell you, but you've already done it. So I would say you have Think and Grow Rich. It's a classic, readable, understandable book, and just start with that. Start with that, because it has all the basic principles. It talks about having a definite purpose. It talks about making a decision. It talks about having faith. It talks about the auto-suggestion and the subconscious mind. I mean, it covers virtually every aspect of life that your children need. They'll say, well, what's this stuff about the Depression? What was the Depression? What was who cares what happened in 1920? But it's a timeless piece of literature. It's a timeless series of lessons. And I would say, don't stop reading it. You don't have to read very much, because every chapter has principles and it has interesting stories. And the stories illustrate the principles, but it's the principles that are the important thing. And it doesn't matter if it's a story about Charles Schwab and United States Steel, or if it's a story about how Thomas Edison worked in his laboratory. It's all telling the same story. Are you a religious woman?
I do believe in God.
Okay. Have you done any reading in the New Testament at all?
I have, yes.
Okay. I would say read the first 4 chapters of the New Testament because it tells the same story in a different way. And it's also very readable. You can get modern translations that are, not in the English of Shakespeare, which was, if you have a King James version, it's the language of Shakespeare because it was written at the same time. But it tells the same story from a little different point of view. And there are some arguments against the multiple translations and people putting their own ideas in. I had the same disturbing thoughts about the translations of the Bible for years. I was a student of the Bible for more than 20 years. That's the only book that I read. But after going back to it after a period of years of not reading it, I realized that the most important points, the most important concepts that can apply to your life were left in. And I thought it was a miracle that happened. It didn't just become a political document. It maintained the truth that has never changed since the beginning of time. And that truth, that energy of infinite intelligence and the story of life and growth and making decisions, parents and children, all those stories are all covered. And if you take a look at Think and Grow Rich, which you're already doing, and continue and get your son involved too, and have because when 3 of you are there and you're all focused on it, you've created a mastermind. And where 2 or 3 are gathered together, there am I in the midst of them, where the I is infinite conscious awareness. The mind of God appears in that group, and you will elevate each other by doing that. By studying Think and Grow Rich as a foursome, as a threesome. The foursome is made. The 4th person is the mind of infinite intelligence.
I love that. Thank you so much.
It'll be so successful. You'll be so happy.
Yes.
Yes. That's what we need here today. Thank you. I will. Absolutely. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kaya.
It's so beautiful. Kaya, I'm also going to put a link in the chat. There's a Think and Grow Rich in 10 Minutes a Day that the Napoleon Hill Foundation created. And I highly recommend it, especially for younger people, teenagers. It'll be easier for them to understand and they'll get into it more. I just had a call the other day with Felipe's son. He was 18 years old. And in the way, what I did with him was I was relating everything back to, he goes to the gym every day and he loves working out. And I was explaining to him, it's the same thing, only now you're working out your mind. I said, you got those muscles. You didn't get those muscles by doing 1 rep, did you? And he said, no. I said, well, how did you build the discipline? I said, you followed the principles in this book to get those muscles. And so I was relating it back to him and describing to him what he did in the gym is what he will do with his mind and anything else in his life that he puts his mind to. And he got it. He understood it. And actually, as a matter of fact, he wants to be a coach now. He wants to sign up and be a coach with us. We have an 18-year-old, we have 19-year-old, and we're building a whole division for kids and for teenagers. We're going to have classes for them soon. So, and I'm working with Don Green and Lefford. We're working on material for the kids. So you stick around us, Kaya, and we'll have plenty more to give you to help you.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And you know, my daughter is a speaker in elementary school, so she's giving back to younger kids there. So, I need to plant that seed in her head. I love that. Thank you for sharing, Cleona. Yes.
Yes. Yes. She can.
Thank you.
And
Felipa
is a coach. She joined Napoleon Hill Institute. She was training with us for months. And then her son saw the change in Felipa and said, I want to know about this. So just be the change, be the example, and check out the Think and Grow Rich in 10 minutes a day for your children for now, especially your teenager. Okay?
Yes, absolutely. I got the link. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Awesome. Well, we are just out of time. Does anybody else have a burning desire? A last question before we go? And if not, Dan, do you want to share anything before we go?
You know, Cleona, this has been such a wonderful time. The more we do this and the more people feel like there are no silly questions, no questions that aren't worth asking. I taught for many years, and people would think, this is a stupid question, but I would tell them there is no stupid question. There are questions that need to be clarified, but there's nothing wrong with questions that everybody has and everybody doesn't want to share because they think, oh, I'll sound silly or I'll sound stupid, or we let our decisions be made by the imagined judgment of other people, which isn't ever true. But thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. I love you all. I look forward to the next time.
Thank you, Dan. We're so grateful for you. Thank you, everybody who came today. And make sure if you have any questions, book a call with us. We're here all week to serve you. And we will see you tomorrow. We have plenty more sessions. I think we have another session tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern. So I will see you all there. Have an amazing day. Thank you.
Thank you.
I decided to join NHI, Napoleon Hill Institute, because I wasn't aware that I was looking to belong, to have a belonging in something bigger than where I was. And when I joined Napoleon Hill Institute, immediately I felt like I had anchored myself to something bigger than I could have ever imagined.
This is a place of authenticity. It's a place of purity, and I can't think of any other place that I would rather be in terms of learning how to be a coach in the personal development industry.
What's different about NHI is that all our hearts are connected. I really feel what's inside each and every single individual in NHI. As soon as I hear someone speaks, I know what's in their heart and mind, and I can feel it.
The first word that I would sum up NHI, Napoleon Hill Institute, is I would say disruptive. We are disruptive. It's not a negative disruption. It's a disruption that will impact every area of your life. We are disruptive.
And I can say without a shadow of a doubt that the leaders in this organization, they're in the study, they're in the growth, they're in the learning every single day. We see them on the calls. They're teaching us how to be coaches, how to reach the 8 billion people that we want to reach.
I drifted for a very long time. And the worst part is that it was an addictive kind of drift.
I'll say I was drifting. So you can be intellectual and drift. You can be successful and drift. You can be spiritual and drift.
It's only when I decided to have a mentor who steered my way of thinking into channeling my feelings through a harmonic melody of life that I managed to embrace a new vision with a new feeling into encompassing a new blueprint that shaped the new reality that I live today.
There's a vibration and a rhythm that we have that is like no other organization in the world.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about this community is that we're all one, we're all equal, and everybody is supporting each other.